9 days ago, the deadliest bushfires of modern times tore through the Victorian countryside, leaving entire towns razed to the ground, and hundreds of families mourning the loss of loved ones who'd perished in their homes or on the roads trying to escape. Even now, the tragedy of what occurred continues to escalate. Tonight on Four Corners, the story of that terrible weekend, the darkest in Victoria's history, told from 7 years.
Flames.
Southeast of Melbourne, in the Bunyip State National Park, a fire which had been ignited by lightning earlier that week was still burning.
Spot fires crossed Labatouche North Road, just south of Jackson Road. Did you get an update on the weather forecast?
Negative at this stage. I'm having communications difficulties, but we've had a wind change back at some stage to the northeast, northwest.
Affirmative, experiencing that at the moment. Just going to move on to the next property now, so that should...
North of Melbourne. Within an hour, it had jumped the Hume Highway and was racing east across the Great Dividing Range, through Wandong towards Kinglake. In Whittlesea, 20 kilometres from Kinglake, Ken Williamson was hearing news of the approaching fires.
I received a phone call that there was a fire in Kilmore from a fire front.
Burning embers rained down on forests, towns and grassland. The Kilmore fire became a firestorm.
What happened is from my experience, what happens to suppress them.
By mid-afternoon on Saturday, the fireys knew they'd lost the battle to contain the inferno. Sometime after 4 o'clock, the Whittlesea firefighters tackled yet another spot fire. As the fires took hold, hundreds of men, women and children living nearby were caught unaware.
Kilmore, there's problems in Kilmore.
Sorry, whereabouts are you? Kinglake?
Kinglake.
Yep.
Yep. And I was just sitting here watching the wall of smoke just come across, and it's just black like a storm cloud, and it's just completely blocked out the sun. I mean, if I didn't know about those fires, I'd say we're about to be hit by a wall of flame.
Shortly after 3 p.m, frantic Kinglake callers were phoning in with their news. Half an hour later, firefighters tackled their first blaze in the town. But the fire was moving at breakneck speed, and it wasn't until nearly an hour later that the first official alert went out on ABC Radio 774.
The situation at Kinglake has been reported as serious, and Peter Mitchell is at the fire station in Kinglake. Peter, good evening.
G'day, John. How are you?
What can you tell us?
The whole of Kinglake is ablaze, mate.
What can you actually see now?
Flame everywhere. Trees exploding, gas tanks exploding, buildings on fire. It's very, very, very serious.
Which buildings can you see on fire, Peter?
Well, I'm sheltering at the moment, so it's a bit hard to see. Across the road from the pub, shop's on fire. I can't quite see down into the main stretch of town, but there's a lot of flame coming up from there. So I presume, most of the town's going up. There will be multiple houses gone, including mine, I would imagine. It's worst case. It's like cockatoo back at Ash Wednesday.
In homes and cars dotted across a wide swathe of countryside as darkness fell, an unbearable tragedy was unfolding. Although Sue Holmes didn't know it at the time, families everywhere were having to make similar decisions after being trapped by spot fires which were starting hundreds of metres ahead of the main fires.
The hot gases and the embers get carried at the speed of the wind, and we're talking about winds of 50, 60.
In Kinglake, built on an escarpment, the fire was unstoppable. At least 39 people died in the Kinglake Inferno.
The fire had gone through here, and my crew...
But there were miraculous escapes. When Ken Williamson and his second lieutenant pulled up at this house, they found a family fighting to save their home.
We noticed two men here with a hose, a garden hose, just a garden hose, battling against all odds, trying to save this house. And I said to Tim, we've got to pull up and get these people out. Tim run down there, just then the wind changed, and it was, you know, probably deceased, but remarkably we come back and they were still squirting water. Unbelievable.
Again and again, neighbours risked their lives. Tilburn took his neighbour's family on a short but hazardous journey to relative safety, dodging burning trees as he drove. Sue Holmes fled to the But that evening, a desperate operation was underway to ferry the critically injured.